Yeah, so not the way we would have wanted to start an episode with the passing of Diogo Jota of Liverpool and his brother Andre Felipe in that accident in Spain. So um, our condolences go out. And, footballers are like our brothers, they're like our friends. We don't know them, but we know them. These are people who are in our faces every weekend. We are reading about them, they're in our lives on social media. So the passing of a footballer is always one that cuts deep, even for those who are neutrals. And Diogo Jota's own is particularly sad also because he just got married to somebody he has been with since they were 16 years old. He's 28. He was 28 years old. They have 3 kids. She's pregnant with a fourth on the way, and they had just gotten married 7 days ago. So rest in peace to Diogo Jota. Today I just want to touch on like a couple of Ghanaian transfers that have come up, some that I like, some that I want to happen. First one that has happened that I really, really love, I love, is the Antoine Semenyo contract extension. Somebody might say, well, it's not a transfer. Yes, but for me, somebody might have said, well, this is a player that Manchester United wants, Liverpool wants, Spurs, where everybody had shown an interest in him. Why would he go ahead to sign a contract extension at the club? I always say this, if you're a footballer and you get comfortable somewhere and you find a great moment, sometimes staying is the best thing to do for your career. If you look at where Semenyo has come from and where he is now, he understands that this is the best place for him at this moment. He's found a coach who trusts him, who has a system that works for him, and seems to have brought the best out in him with Andoni Iraola. So I particularly like the fact that he's added 5 more years. And the interesting thing is this, let's not forget, last summer, he had signed an extension and he has done another extension this year. He's gotten a significant pay rise. He knows that he's going to play games. He's going to be influential in his team. Now, compare that to the potential of what would have happened if he had joined Manchester United. Manchester United is currently in a very chaotic state. It's not the best of places for a footballer to go. His position is not assured. It's a very different tactical system. Will the minutes be the same? All that work that he has done. Yes, everybody wants to play for Manchester United, but does everybody want to sit on the bench at Manchester United? Tottenham Hotspur just brought in a new coach as well. Did Antoine Semenyo want to go in there and try and be a part of a new system? Again, no guarantees. Spurs had been whispered, saw him as kind of like a replacement for Son, or just to kind of just, reinvigorate that side of the park. But maybe Semenyo didn't see that vision. Okay. And staying at Bournemouth where he's happy and showing that loyalty to a team that have also shown loyalty to him is particularly important. So I am happy that he didn't move. I think it's good. He gets good money. He's happy. Most importantly, he gets to play. And for us, for instance, going to a World Cup, players consider these decisions very, very seriously. Ahead of a World Cup, Semenyo wants to show up at the World Cup knowing that he will even make the squad because he's been playing games. He doesn't want to put in all that hard work. And then because of one big decision that takes him to a big club, but ends up depriving him of the one thing he needs, actual playing time to make a World Cup squad. I don't commit this, as we used to say back in the day. Proper transfer for me. Well done, Antoine Semenyo. All the best to you. He plays this good season after the World Cup. If somebody else is interested in him, guess what? He'll only be 26 years old. He will still be available for a good amount of money. And I'm sure they have an exit clause and all those things worked in there. So yeah, not a bad deal at all for me. I love it. For me, I think it is the transfer of the window so far for the Ghanaian boys. Yes, in terms of the fact that he hasn't done anywhere, he's decided to stay. The next transfer I want to talk about is that of Kamaldeen Sulemana, who's just moved from Southampton, where he was their record signing to the Italian Serie A to join Atalanta, who have signed on his previous coach at Southampton, Ivan Juric. And Juric going there and signing Kamaldeen should not be a surprise. I think that Juric brought the best out of Kamaldeen that Southampton have seen in the past 2.5 seasons. Seemed to get into his groove once he got fit. Looked a lot more confident on the ball, impacted games a lot more. So going to Atlanta to play for this coach, I think works for Kamaldeen. But most importantly, it gives him a leeway back into primetime football. Atalanta is a big deal these days. They play big, high-stakes games against some of the best teams around Europe. And Kamaldeen is going to be a part of that. What it also allows him to do is to take advantage of his greatest asset, his pace. Look, the Serie A is a much slower league. And Kamaldeen's pace is always going to be an asset in a league like that. What he needs to improve on, though, is his decision-making, because although the Italian Serie A might be slightly slower, it has far more technical defenses. And he's going to face defenders who understand the game a bit more, teams that spend a lot more time working on their defending. And so his end product, which has always been the weakest part of his game, needs to improve significantly if he is to make an impression out Atlanta. Look, the thing is, Atlanta is a fine team, but it's a high-pressure team. Atlanta wants players who perform. We've seen big-name players go to Atlanta and get removed. But we've also seen players who've struggled elsewhere go to Atlanta and thrive because they take advantage of the opportunities that Atlanta provides. I hope that Kamaldeen can stay fit. I hope that he can stay focused, because that's another thing people don't talk about. Kamaldeen tends to lose focus a lot. Sometimes he gets drawn into the lifestyle, rather than just focusing on football, which is something that I think Kudus, his childhood buddy and most of the time partner in crime, seems to do a bit better. Stay focused on just the football. So Kamaldeen going to Atlanta for the amount of money, great deal for him. I hope it works out. But I like it. If only he can also live up to his end of the bargain. Another transfer that has a lot of people upset, which I don't get, is the Christopher Bonsu, Bonsu transfer from Belgium, Genk, to Al-Qadsiya. Significant amount of money involved. Almost between 15 and 17 million euros, I think. I'm not going to get in the way of a footballer. I'm not going to criticize a footballer who is chasing the bag. Why is he playing the game? He's playing the game to make money. Somebody might say, yeah, but he was in Belgium, he was making money. He wasn't going to see a quarter of the money that he's going to see in Saudi Arabia. Okay, so I'm particularly happy that he's gone. 10 years ago, I would have been if I were doing this podcast, I'd have said, horrible move. Like, why are you leaving mainstream Europe to go to Saudi Arabia? But then it's all about the bag these days. Wherever you find it, you secure it. He can play football at a good level if he wants to work at it. We've also seen recently that a lot of the young players who go to Saudi Arabia tend to stay there for a year or two, collect their money, and then go back to Europe. We just saw John Duran, who moved for 70 million from Aston Villa to Al Nassr, just try and head back to Fenerbahce. We've seen the kid from Celta Vigo, Vieira, also look to head back to Europe. We've seen a lot of those moves happening. So I don't think the window is closed on his career, that, he's left Genk to go to Al-Qadsiya. Look, if you know Bonsu's story, he suffered. He's not suffered. He struggled to get to this point. I watched the interview he granted, and I knew a part of that story before. Running through Spain, academies, going there, not making it, all those trials, coming back, then finally breaking through at Salzburg, getting a move to Genk, and now this. Footballers play to get the big deals. I think that he's played well enough to get himself a big deal. If the big deal happens to be in Saudi Arabia, hey, go for it, collect that money, guarantee lifetime money and security for his family. I love it. Then there's the one transfer that hasn't happened yet, but everybody thinks will happen. Mohammed Kudus out of West Ham. Where he will go is the question. There had been whispers of Chelsea, but now the Tottenham Hotspur conversation seems to have gained momentum. Seems like they have shown the most concrete interest. Conversations that have happened. We will see whether it does happen. But I watched Kudus the second half of last season at West Ham, and it was pretty clear that his mind was elsewhere. He played like somebody who wanted to leave. He did not have somebody might also say, well, perhaps second year syndrome after his outstanding performance in the first season that he spent at West Ham last season. Perhaps he was derailed a bit, but I just felt mentally he was not there. He didn't impact as many games, and the games that he played, he tried to do too much by himself. Wasn't as much of a team player. It looked like he was stat padding a bit on his key matrices, take-ons, dribbles, whilst not impacting his team as much as he could. There were moments, but it wasn't as consistent as one would want. And I guess looking for an opportunity elsewhere at a team like Spurs, who I already spoke about when I addressed the Semenyo issue, are looking for that kind of player, a person who can carry the ball and drive it high up the pitch, create chances for them. It makes sense. Kudus is a big time player. He's a big name player who deserves to play at a big club. Tottenham Hotspur, irrespective of what you think, won the Europa League, will be in the Champions League. A massive team with a massive fan base, play in the fantastic stadium, modern stadium as well. What is there not to like for Mohammed Kudus? So I think it will be the next evolution in his career if it does happen. West Ham to Tottenham, irrespective of how you look at it, which fan base belong to, it's fair to consider an upgrade. Although Tottenham Hotspur's recent performances might not show it, it is certainly considered an upgrade in terms of just the position of the teams, the prestige that comes with it. So yeah, I can see Mohammed Kudus thinking through that process, and hopefully it gets done. It will be a good deal for him if it does happen.